And we are rolling. So welcome back, everyone, to another awesome episode here. I've got a friend of mine that's a very unique individual, and I've been wanting to connect with him for a while. His name's Ori Bengal, and he is tuning in from Mexico. And, oh, yeah, exactly. Hola, amigo. I wanted to kind of let you maybe share the intro to your book, and that might be a good way to kind of kick this off, and we'll kind of let it roll from there. But kind of we're going to be talking about art. Ori has been, creating phenomenal art for the longest period of consecutive days for probably anybody in the world, and he's going for the Guinness Book of World Record for that. So, my friends, come on out and introduce yourself, man.
All right. Well, let's see. She looked at him longingly from across the room. She could feel herself get... Oh, wrong book. I'm sorry. No.
We'll get to that one later.
Well, let's see. My name's Ori. I've been creating art. I have like a quick one sentence. So I do have a book. I mean, hardcover and everything. 183 pages. But I'm working on a bigger one. I hear size counts. I'm working on a 300-page one, but we'll get into that after this. So this exists, and some of my collectors have it. It is a work in progress, but then again, it's everything in life.
That's life. Right. Exactly.
So it's titled Origins, and if I ever create spirits, alcohol, I'll probably make a gin and call it Origin. But since I was a kid, I would love to draw, but nobody ever told me I could have a career or a future in it. So it never crossed my mind. It was just a thing that I kept doing for no reason other than I always wanted to get better and try new things. In 2001, a girl I was dating was really excited about my art, but I figured she's dating me, so how great can her judgment be? Then she told me that her mom works with all these galleries, loves my work, and wants to meet. The mom told me that my stuff is great and I simply must do an art show. I agreed, put my feelers out, and I signed up for the very first art show, which I found, which turns out wasn't even like a real art show. It was one of those art walk things that most people have. First Friday, second Saturday, etc. I got accepted. I put forth a giant effort, but the weather was gloomy, hardly anyone showed, and I didn't sell anything that night. I figured, since I didn't sell anything, I must not be an artist. So I stopped drawing and painting for 10 years. I always stayed in creative gigs, though. Print and web design, 3D animation, video editing, and pornography, and photography. Those words are so similar. In 2006, I started couch surfing. I gave away my stuff and went on a big road trip completely based on whose couch I'm crashing on next. This journey ended up being 6 years. In 2011, a friend invited me out to Maui, took me to some galleries. Initially, I didn't want to go, but he insisted. Immediately, I was wowed. By the fourth or fifth gallery, I felt heartbreak, and that I've blown off my passion for creating art just because I tried something one time and I didn't succeed. Thank goodness that I was more persistent when it came to learning to walk, eh? I hear I didn't get that right the first time either. I knew that eventually I could make stuff as good or better as much as stuff that I was seeing in those galleries, so I vowed that I would create art every day. And that lasted about 2 weeks. In 2012, I went to Chicago to work on my life, 4 days with no cell phone or internet, just thinking about what I want, what I don't want in my life. And that's when I remembered the feeling of heartbreak that I had at the galleries in Maui, and I did not want that. So I posted to Facebook that I would post a new drawing every day. I figured that somewhere out there is someone that would make fun of me if I missed a day, and that poor person must be bored by now, because at the time of making this book, I've not missed a single day in 2,050 days, which means I wrote this 327 days ago. Drawing turned to painting, carving, welding, sculpting, 3D, ceramics, and more. Since it took, this is a typo. Since it took 10 years of not, that's correct. That's correct. Since it took 10 years of not painting to figure out that this was my life's purpose, I refused to miss a single day of creating art, and that brings us here to this art book. Well, I never actually read that out loud. It takes a lot longer than.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna edit that down.
Well, I think that that's a great way to start. And I just brought up the message from our text. So it's been 2,370 days in a row without missing a day that you've created art.
That's not correct.
Oh.
It's been 2,372 days.
There we go.
Come on.
I guess this message was 2 days old. But man, that's freaking unbelievable, man, as far as your dedication and commitment. Like, and you said that you're trying to get into the Guinness Book of World Records for this.
I'm applying for it. Well, so it took me, 2,372 years or days is a long time for sure. But it's basically 6.5 years for those that don't know the math, because there's 4 kinds of people in this world: those that can do math and those who can't.
I'm definitely one that can't.
Yeah. There you go. It's been a long time. I'm definitely past the 10,000 hour mark.
Yeah, a little bit.
10,000 to mastery, but at the same time, it also takes a long time to organize all that in a document that you can prepare for them, where it's all chronologically.
Right.
So will they accept me as the world champion? Who knows? And if they do, who actually cares? It's just a conversation piece. Because how many people do you know who are in the Guinness World Book of Records?
Well, I hope you're my first. First.
I'll be gentle.
Yeah, man. Well, Facebook just told me yesterday in the message that I sent you, we've been connected for 7 years. 7 years. And the thing I love about this podcast is that it gets me the opportunity to kind of give myself an excuse to reach out to really cool, interesting, inspiring people like yourself to come on and have a call. Like normally you'd be kind of weirded out if some guy just kind of like, hey man, you want to just like talk on the phone for a while, but this is like an excuse to be able to connect and kind of get to learn about really cool people doing cool shit.
It's interesting. I had some Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door the other day, and my neighbor downstairs is a missionary, so I've gotten much more open about much more comfortable with like talking about this stuff. Although he's never pushed his religion on me or anything, but because I'm nice to him, I'm nice to other people who are interested in religion. Before that, I was like kind of like, what are you doing here?
Right.
Now I'm still like kicking them out of here, but politely. And but the first thought is always like, what's the point of living in a gated community if they're letting anyone who wants to go knocking on my door in? Like, and it's like, but it's not because the religion or anything. It's rather because we've become so guarded about our privacy. Like, it's even weird if even friends call you without texting first. You're like, is everything okay? Yeah, why would... Like, so now when I actually get someone's voicemail, I'm like, I know, weird, right? Someone calling without texting.
Yeah.
Like, is that even okay? And you have to ask, did I catch you at a good time? And, calls are weird. Like, it's just, we've become, society has changed a lot. And social media, texting, like the efficacy of these devices to get instant communications have made a conversation like this seem like, I mean, if you called someone up and you need something, it's one thing, but if you call and you're like, yeah, hey, do you have an hour or two to chat? Like, once you'd be like, even like friends would be like, the hell are you on? Who's got that? So yeah, I definitely agree. Like, having a show is a license to chat.
It's a license to chat, and I need it, man, because I'm here in a country where I'm really lacking that kind of human conversations, because I live in a place where no one or very few people speak my language, and it's hard to have these conversations. So that's actually a big reason why I have started this, and it's been kind of a self-inflicted therapy almost.
There you go.
But it's good. Like I was saying, I've kind of we've got a ton of mutual friends. And it's funny that we, like you said, when our first interaction, we're like, I can't believe we haven't really, connected much before this. So I'm really looking forward to kind of learning more about you and everything that you're up to. So currently you're living in Mexico, and that sounds pretty awesome. What brought you down there to make the move, and how long have you been there?
So I came here in mid-July, and hang on one second. I'm going to open this door real quick. I just moved my office in here the other day, and they just gave me Zoom gave me a notice that my internet is unstable. I'm like, that's why we get long, but I think maybe that will boost the signal. I don't want to freeze on you. Let's see what moved me here. I was in Austin. Well, let's rewind a little bit. I was in Austin before I came here, but before Austin, I was in Phoenix. Before Phoenix, I was in Northern Cali. Before Northern Cali, I was in Tucson. Before Southern Cali, Georgia. Then 6 years of couch surfing, 20 years in South Florida, and I was born in Israel and came to the States for my 9th birthday. So that was my life backwards.
Interesting. So you were born in Israel. I had a couple months in Israel, man, and I loved it. I loved it.
There you go.
No, I just found out the reason why I went was my whole life, my dad's Irish, like pretty much Irish Catholic, and my mom's mother died when she was very young. And she never really knew much about her family history until she went to a funeral of a family member and found out that her mother was Jewish, which with the lineage would make me partially, so that's what happened when I was
Judaism is transferred through the mother.
Through the mother, right, yeah.
If your mother is Jewish and your dad's not, then you're a Jew. If your dad's a Jew and your mom's not, you're not a Jew. But, I don't know all these things, like the exact science of it or whatever, because as I say, I'm not a Jew, I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I've never really identified like that either, because I was raised my whole life just being, Irish and going to my dad's Catholic church and stuff, and then hearing this whole other side of the dynamic. That's why I went to Israel. I did that birthright trip. And,
I did too.
It's crazy. It's just a 10-day party, right? Just a 10-day party.
It was 2 weeks, and for $50, I got to extend my ticket, as long as I wanted, which I another 2 weeks so I could hang out with family and friends and all that stuff. I got a lot of funny stories from that trip. It's where I had 14 Long Island iced teas in one night. I flew in on my birthday. Like, we got on airplane December 16th, December 17th. We landed. And so our first night there, we had a hotel in Jerusalem. Like, they put us up at the King David Hotel, which is like 5-star hotel. And
that's where I stayed too.
They're taking us to like a nice club. And before we left the hotel, it was first of all, I turned 27. The cutoff for this trip is 26.
Right. Yeah.
But I got on the plane at 26, so I made the cutoff. I landed at 27.
That's amazing.
And a lot of people are like, wait, you can't be on this trip. You're from Israel. I'm like, I'm a Jew that lives in America. I meet the qualifications. They send me, and but we're at the King David Hotel. I buy myself a drink. This guy that was also from South Florida, and we met on the plane, actually. I was like, dude, it's your birthday. I'm like, no, my birthday was yesterday. He's like, no, you turned 27 in the air. That doesn't count. It's your birthday. I'm like, okay. So he's like, what are you drinking? I said, a Long Island iced tea. So he went and bought one. And apparently he told a bunch of other people that it's my birthday and I'm drinking a Long Island iced tea. So the next morning I wake up, I'm like, oh, wow, it's going to be a beautiful day. Everyone's like, oh my God, you're alive. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, dude, you're like puking up blood. And there's like a bunch of girls in here taking turns holding your head out of the toilet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you don't remember any of this. I'm like, you guys messing with me. It's a person. What's the last thing you remember? Well, we went to that club and kicked that girl in the air. And then, well, that's odd. So it's now day number 2. There's 80 people on this trip, 42 buses of 40 people, and I didn't have to introduce myself to anyone.
There you go.
And we did the math. like, hey, who bought Ori a drink? And, you know, there was the one I drank, the one that Jacardi got me, and then 12 other people. So
That's
yeah.
that's doing birthright right. Yeah, I was really surprised because I found out about 10 days before the trip. And my friend, I was actually dating a Jewish girl at the time, and she's like, you know what? You're eligible for this trip. And I was the same as you. I was like 25, I think. And they're like, you have to do it this year or else you're not going to be eligible. So I went. I've never been to like a temple or synagogue or anything before. I went to meet like the rabbi. I'm like, hey, man, like, here's my situation. My mom just went to a funeral. She found out that her mom died a long time ago and has this kind of history of some family living.
Jewish.
And I'm like, you know, I don't really know anything about any of this. And I'm like, what do I need to give you, like, documentation or something? He's like, no, you can just, you know, fill out your information. You'll have a ticket in like 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't have to give you any documentation or anything. Like, basically anybody can just like say they're Jewish.
There you go.
And they're like,
people come to your show and they learn stuff. Now they've learned they can get a free trip to Israel with 5-star accommodations, great food and drinks, some camping. These people. All you got to do is be less than 27 years old, even if you're turning 27 into air, you'll be all right. Free trip.
No.
Jewish.
So I ended up staying and traveling and backpacking around for like 2 months after. I went down to Egypt and Sinai and Jordan. It was amazing. So like that's probably one of the most impactful trips, because everywhere else you go, like I love to travel, but I'm just on beaches, you know, like you go to Philippines, Thailand, Hawaii, you know, you're just on a beach. You don't really learn much about culture or history, but you go into Israel and Jerusalem, dude. Jerusalem is like, it's amazing that place even exists. It seems like it's like a fairy tale, you know, like you roll into Jerusalem and you're like, holy shit, like this is where everything went down, you know, like it was a really, really impactful trip for me. And I just think it's the only trip in my life that actually really meant something that mattered, you know, like it was really cool.
I'm still waiting for mine.
You're still
I guess that one trip when my parents took me to America when I was 9 kind of was impactful. I mean, you know, never left. So,
well, let's talk about your couch surfing and how that kind of took off. Because I think the first interaction I saw with you, I commented on one of your business cards, and I'll have that post here. That'll probably be the thumbnail for this episode. But I remember it said something about like, you know, couch surfing professional, and it was you with like 2 girls, you know, like, you know, rock stars.
It was 4 girls.
Sorry.
And so I used to be into photography. I used to work for One Model Place, the world's largest online community for models and photographers. And I ran their print shop. I did a lot of work in their studio, all sorts of fun stuff. And when I was living in Fort Lauderdale, my lease was about to expire. I had a place on the beach, and I never really went down to the beach unless, you know, I had people from out of town or I was doing a bikini shoot. That way they could come over to my place, and I just go downstairs and wake up at 6 instead of otherwise having to wake up at 4 in the morning to get all my gear to the camera and all that stuff. So, you know, that was kind of nice. But, yeah, I was like, nah, they're raising the rent a little bit. I'm good. There's too many rules in that building. And so I was trying to figure out, like, where to go next. You know, back to Miami. I was 29, so I didn't really feel like moving back into my parents' place. And a buddy of mine said, hey, man, you know, your photography is amazing. They would just love you in Los Angeles. Why don't you go to Richard Brown's place? I bet Richard would let you crash there on his couch for like a month. And if you wanted to pitch into the rent, you could stay longer, and then you could, you know, find your gig over there and do LA. And I was like, wait, let me call you back. I got an idea. And 2 hours later, I call him back. I'm like, all right, Dan, so here's the deal. I'm just going to go everywhere rather than just LA, because, you know, I've been here in South Florida for like 20 years for no reason other than this is where my parents brought me, right? People stay in the city because they got a job there, because they were born there, because whatever. And like, we never freaking move anywhere. Like, and so rather than just going to LA because I can find a gig there, I'm just going to go everywhere, completely based on whose couch I'm crashing on next. And then I can decide where I want to crash and like where I want to renew my lease. And 6 years later, that ended up being Austin, Texas.
Wow.
And I stayed with the CEO of Zappos.com. I stayed with UFC cage fighters. I stayed with roller derby players. I stayed at an all-girls college. I got to really discover a lot about myself and about people. And, Zig Ziglar was a motivational speaker, and he had a thing he called the University on Wheels. He would talk about that if you have a standard commute to work, half an hour to work, half an hour back, 5 days a week, 50 years out of the
audios.
Can you hear me now?
No. You're good. I was just saying you listening to audios, right?
I thought you were saying there's audio problems.
No. You're good, man. You're good.
Okay. No.
And
if you listen to audiobooks during that 50 weeks of commuting an hour to work and back, within 3 years, you will have gotten the equivalent of a 2-year college education. And I was listening for like 8 hours, 10 hours. My longest drive was 22 hours in one day. I was making from Vegas to Austin. So I really got to learn a lot in general, just because I was just bouncing from, South Florida to Northern Cali to New York, Southern California. I was just bouncing all over the place. Mm-hmm. And having like really cool adventures, doing really dumb things. Like it's in fact, now I'm here in Mexico, and you said what brought me here. I mean, I just came on a whim. I was in Austin in December till July. And in April, I knew that by the end of June, I need to go find another apartment. And I don't know. I left Austin initially in 2014 after being there for like 2.5 years because it got too big. When I got there in 2009 for the first time I visited, you could go downtown, find street parking, just park on the side of the road, get out of your car, walk around, do your thing, and then leave. By 2012, when I came back, when I actually moved there, it was a lot busier. And by 2014, when I left, you couldn't, like, A, there was tons of traffic. B, if you couldn't find parking downtown. Forget street parking. You couldn't find paid or garage parking. You'd have to drive for half an hour to find a valet that will take you.
That's crazy. That's what's happening in like a lot of the big cities, It's just getting way too built up, and the prices of, the price of the cost of living is insane, and just everything is just kind of.
Cost of living went up. But I didn't even notice that. I just noticed that, like, looking for parking was just a nightmare. I was like, I don't like that feeling, so screw it. And I went the opposite way. I went to Georgia, Pine Mountain, Georgia, and it was me, this girl, 2 Great Danes, and 2 horses on an 11-acre property with like a stream going through it. And, there was no parking issues. However, you had to drive for 40 minutes to get to the store, to do anything. So the pendulum swings, But and that was after my couch surfing. But it's very easy for me because of my couch surfing, which I think is very easy for me because my parents up and moved us on my 9th birthday, and I had to start new language, new culture, new everything. So I guess I'm used to starting over if I need. And
I think I think a lot of people might be curious, how were you supporting these 6 years of travel? What were you doing?
There's a bunch of different things. Sorry, you're gonna have to hear this someday, Mom and Dad. But prostitution, and I sold one of my kidneys, and selling drugs. No. Okay, actually, we live in a day and age where you can just work off your laptop from anywhere. I was doing first. I started my trip, as I said earlier, I was a photographer, and I thought that I was going to start when I started, I thought my trip was going to be me staying with models and photographers and, you know, developing my portfolio, learning from the masters and so on. But the great thing about people is that they know people. And as soon as I started, I was instantly meeting people who are not models and photographers. And because I was good at what I do, a lot of people quickly would invite me to go crash at their place because this and that, and they would find cool adventures for me to do because I made it very clear that's what I was into.
Yeah.
And like, I'm looking for cool and unique things to do. And, you know, people wanted photos by me, so they would find like the cool things near them and be like, hey, you want to go do this, right? So I've had the bacon explosion. You can Google what that is, you know, and that was at the Barbecue Championships of America or whatever. And I've gone to like all sorts of like really cool high-end events, you know, like where they're selling the Lamborghini, Ferraris and all that stuff, and fashion shows and skydiving events, and you know, they have to fly on one of those like glider things, and I've just all sorts of craziness. And like so I would do photography. I know how to do website design, and I was doing a bunch of that. I put a bunch of it on credit card debt. You know, like, you don't have to have the money to do the things you want to do. I mean, there's like pretty credit these days. And, you know, the thing is that, funny enough, so I don't know your audience. I'm sure that some of them are internet marketers, because I've heard you mention on many of your episodes, you know, stuff from the marketing world, obviously, and a lot of people are aware of it these days. But I really, in 2007, about probably half a year into about 3 months into my journey, kind of discovered internet marketers. I had a ticket to Armand Morin's big seminar, number 7, I think it was. I don't know, whatever. But it was my first internet marketing conference, and I really liked it. What I liked is that, like, one of the reasons I left South Florida is because, you know, I've always been entrepreneurial, which just kind of means I don't like alarm clocks.
Yeah.
You know, I like to wake up when I feel like it, and
Absolutely.
I'm often nocturnal, but not always. And so, you know, if it was like a fantastic day out, I'd be like, call up my friends, be like, dude, it's gorgeous out. Let's go kayaking.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, no,
Freedom.
I can't.
Freedom.
I work. I got clients. And so after a while, I kind of got used to it. Even my entrepreneurial friends still had like schedules and stuff, and it was frustrating. So, yeah, I went on this couch surfing thing, and all of a sudden you go to this conference where there's like, you know, 2,000 people, all of which want to work from home, basically, you know, and there's a lot of people who, as you say, you know, work in their underwear, basically, and a lot of it, you know, especially at the time. Now there's a lot more agencies and stuff like that, but at the time, like, most of the people were entrepreneurs or self-employed. They were trying to, you know, make their millions online or whatever, and a bunch of them were making it, and so it was really cool. And a lot of people told me, like, yeah, dude, you know, make a product. Well, that was 2007. It took me until 2011 to finally get off my ass and make a product. And the product I made was called Make WordPress Easy. I
remember seeing your post about that. Just gave me a flashback. Yeah.
You sure it's not that acid? It gives people flashbacks too. I mean, but. Yeah, and, you know, I launched that course technically while being homeless. I mean, you know, I still hadn't settled down anywhere, and, you know, that kind of changed my life because it changed my perspective. The day I launched it, I, you know, got like 135 sales, and you're like, whoa, all of a sudden, it's like all those things they told me are true. You really can make money in your sleep, money while you drive. and we have a joke in internet marketing, for those who haven't heard it yet, yeah, I work 18 hours a day so I can make money in my sleep.
Yeah.
It sometimes seems like kind of, but here's the thing. I don't want people thinking, inaccurately at least, that, or it's just making money in his sleep and all that stuff. I had a very successful business with Make WordPress Easy. I even won an award for it. And, I had people all the way from, I had a 90-year-old girl with one hand who was making websites with my course, and I had people all the way into their 80s making websites with my course. Like people whose parents are bugging them, like, can you help me with my website? They would just be like, dude, here's Ori's course, just, go through that. And they'd be surprised to find out their parents actually made the website. It's like, I was good at breaking it down, right? But while I love the power of what WordPress can do for people, and so I was changing lives. I got people to quit their jobs and start becoming web designers.
That's right.
I got people to, a lot of people have had bad experiences with web designers, taking advantage of them or taking their money or not giving them what they wanted. And it's not always the web designer's fault. Like some people are just crappy communicators and all that stuff, don't know what they want, etc. But this way, if they're designing their own, they can just try until they get it. They gave people a voice. They gave people new businesses. It was really cool. I was pretty proud. But WordPress is always changing. I wasn't passionate about WordPress. I was passionate about, what it empowers people to do. So I kind of let that business drop, regardless, because I was definitely more excited about my art. And I haven't done WordPress for 2,372 days in a row.
Yeah. Well, while we're on that topic, let me just ask you real quick. I'm actually looking at trying to build a site for this platform. What would you recommend I do for this kind of layout, like kind of podcast video based?
Look, here's the thing. I wouldn't give a specific recommendation based on that much of a generic answer.
Mm-hmm.
I would give the same answer that I would give for anything else that you told me, whether you said you're trying to start a new business, whether you told me that it would be like, what do you want it to do, right? Mm-hmm. I would tell you to take out a piece of paper and figure out everything, or a mind mapping app or phenomenal, and figure out what do you want it to do. Is it going to make you money? Is it just going to be to get people on your newsletter so they can find out about future episodes? Is there a blog? Are you going to, I suppose each episode could be a blog post.
I would transcribe it. Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that, once you figure that out, then you can make the website that matches those qualifications. But every single, so there's kind of a fun app that's free. It's called funalytics.io. It's a free funnel mapping software, and they have an upsell where they sell you more icons, and they have really good icons. They didn't get their upsell, but it's and they also have, like, they'll take all the existing funnels, like what Russell Brunson's doing and what digital marketers doing, and so you can just install like a blank funnel template and put your things in. So you can map it out. You can use a piece of paper, or more great advice would be to, not saying my previous advice was great, but pretty great advice would be go and find a podcast that you like, that you aspire to be like, and see what their website looks like. Yeah. And take the ideas. But most people look at a website, they just think it's a couple of pages, with some words and pictures about it. It's the whole, like, what's that quote Alice said to the cat, like, could you help me, tell me where to go? And the cat's like, well, where do you want to go? And she's like, I don't know. And she's like, then it doesn't really matter, does it? And it's the same thing with a website. If you're like, well, I have a business, I need a website for it. Yeah. Okay. So that means you're probably going to tell people what your business is. Although a lot of people don't even do a good job with that.
Right.
You know, so what do you want the website to do? The equivalent of the cat asking Alice, where do you want to go?
Yeah, no, I was curious because I tried with WordPress a few months back, and it was just, I'm not really a tech savvy kind of guy. Like, I'm not a developer or coder.
Yeah,
that's why I was interested in your course.
About WordPress.
I was like, man, I wish your course was still available. I'm like, I would definitely pick one up.
I mean, it's still around. I haven't updated it, and technically, it still holds up better than most courses because I taught it on a principles level. I didn't say, well, you got to get this plugin and this plugin. It's like, you know,
I'll put a link to it. I'll put a link to it below here for people to check out. And
yeah, sure. I mean, you know, I would say, well, my course is very good. I say it was very good because I tried to shut it down, but people didn't let me. People wanted me to keep it going, so I was like, all right, whatever. So I let someone else kind of inherit it, and we're gonna update it. It just hasn't been a priority because, again, not passionate about it.
Right.
Last couple of days, I actually did something amazing. I put a blocker on my browsers to block out Netflix and streaming websites. And I've been listening to podcasts and other things instead. Nice. And it's amazing. My brain's been, I mean, I can see like such a difference. It's back to my old self when, you know, recently, like a month ago, I was feeling old. I remember I was complaining to my little brother about this when we were catching up. I was like, you know,
how old are you?
I'm 42 in December.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was feeling old. Like, I was like, you know, crap. I mean, like, it's not even that I don't have the same amount of energy per se. It's just that I don't have the same kind of drive. And I was trying to think about it from a logical standpoint. What would attribute to this? And I was like, you know, it's probably a drop in testosterone because men start losing testosterone at 25 and it never actually like replenishes. And I thought about it, so I'm like, all right, I'll order some supplements. I probably could find some in Mexico, you know, go to Tijuana, but you know, these days there's no need. Like, regular supplements have come so far. But additionally, I don't even think I need that. Just like with marketing, just like with business, just like with how to live life. If you find like the proper hack, then you can find the right thing. And I've seen amazing things that can be done just with like just intermittent fasting and particular ways.
You've lost a ton of weight, man. I want to talk.
Like over 20 pounds in the last month.
20 pounds in a month. That's crazy.
Over 20 pounds. I don't know exactly how much. I ordered a scale which came in like last week, and at that point, I don't know where I started.
Right. Yeah.
On this, because so what I did was the master cleanse, which I did. That's basically the master cleanse is also known as the lemonade diet. Like you don't eat anything. You're just drinking.
It's hardcore, man. It's hardcore. It's hardcore. Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy. You just drink like lemonade. It's lemon. So you make fresh squeezed lemonade. So it's lemons, cayenne, and maple syrup.
Yeah.
And most people do it for 10 days. And, you drink a smooth move tea at night. Makes you poo in the morning. And it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I've done that a couple times. Yeah.
No, it's good.
I'm drinking my my tea here. That I do this morning tea and a night tea. That's one's for energy because I don't drink any caffeine actually. So one is just pure a pure blend, and then the one at night I drink at night. So I'm definitely a huge tea fan for sure.
But anyway, so most people do it for 10 days. I did for 21 and a half days, and then I was like, but earlier this year, I remember I was at the gym, and despite that I was working out on a regular basis, I'd gotten to like my fattest, and I was at like, I don't know, 234. And now
how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay. Yeah.
2 meters, I think. just under 2 meters. So I'm 6 feet, and I was at 234. I've usually been around like 215, whatever. Back in 2000, when I was like working out all the time, I was 215 and solid. So I was like a good 215. Most of my life since I've been like 215 and, average, whatever. But at 234, and I weighed myself because I'm like, what do I weigh? Like, I don't like my reflection. And you're like too jiggly, man. Who's this guy who keeps walking in front of my reflection? And so, yeah, but here's the thing. In Austin, there was a church, no, not churches, Cane's Chicken right across the street. Their chicken is so fucking good. Oh, my God. And they're so efficient, dude. All they make is fried chicken. So you go through their drive-thru. I could be out the door in my car at Cane's through their drive-thru and back with 4 chicken strips, some delicious french fries, 2 pieces of Texas toast. They give you 1 piece in coleslaw, but fuck coleslaw. So I'd get like second piece of coleslaw. So that's healthier, right? And not that I would expect fast food coleslaw to be any healthier than the Texas toast, but 5 minutes in and out, like out the door and back in the door. I couldn't even nuke a TV dinner that fast, and was putting on some weight, man. And the grocery stores everywhere in America have so much stuff, and so now I got to Mexico, and I was like
healthier, yeah.
Like, just because I live in an agricultural area, so it's a really small town. I'm like right on the beach, and if I want to go to a major city, there's one half an hour each way. Rosarito, Ensenada, both are gorgeous, and it's all cliffside driving. Yeah. There's taco places everywhere.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the tacos here are delicious. It's not that crap like at Taco Bell or anything. It's real meat, grilled right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's not like all fried and all that stuff. So there's that. And then if I want to go to the grocery store, I got to drive half an hour. And so it's not like, oh, I got the munchies, I'm going to walk over to the grocery store, and you come back with like all these chocolate bars.
Right.
And so I cook most of my meals, or I have tacos, which are fairly healthy. And I live on the beach, so I go jogging on the beach because the weather here is just so nice. You're just like, I don't want to exercise, but I have to go outside. All right, fuck it, I'm going to go running. And so all of a sudden, like, so I thought about the Master Cleanse just to, I'm like,
kickstart.
I'm already eating healthier. Why don't I get rid of the rest of the crap that I put on in Austin? And,
that's the thing I noticed is I go back to America on the way back to Canada, and the portion sizes are just gigantic. And coming from Asia, when it's like, these small little, tapas and stuff I'm eating everywhere, like it's just no wonder people are just so obese there, Did you see, we have a mutual friend, Jason Moffat, right?
I've couch surfed with him. We're very good friends. We've traveled in his RV together, and lots of crazy stories that I can't release online.
Yeah, well, I'd love to have him on the show because we're both surfers, and I've never met him in person, but we've talked quite a bit back and forth. He posted a video yesterday about how he just lost 25 pounds, and he said that what made him do that was he felt that he was still in pretty good shape, but he felt that he was overweight, and then he did some tests, and he's like, yeah, I'm about 25 pounds overweight. So what he did, he put a 25-pound kettlebell in a backpack, and he walked around with this extra 25 pounds in his backpack for a day. And he's like, man, imagine if I left, and then he took it off, and he's just like, oh, that's so much better. He's like, well, that's what I'm carrying on my body. And he's like, if I take this 25 pounds off my stomach and everywhere I have it, I'll just feel like I just took off this 25-pound backpack with a kettlebell. And that was his motivation. So I think like what both of you guys are doing is really smart. Now, I've even noticed I put on weight because I've been injured. I used to be, I was really always skinny.
Basketball, yeah.
And
professional athlete.
Well, I like to stay fit, but I had this leg injury the last almost 3 months. I pulled my groin, and it's just not healing. So I haven't been able to do any running. I haven't been able to break a sweat until last week. I played basketball for the first time, and I put on about probably an extra 15, 20 pounds too over the last couple months.
Damn.
So I feel definitely heavier and bigger, and I need to get back into it myself because I think like what you said, testosterone slows down, your metabolism slows down when you're older. Yeah.
Here's the thing, since you said that, I was feeling old about the time that I started this cleanse. I remember because I told my little brother I'm ordering, like I Googled like supplements that increase testosterone. You know, it's like natural stuff: horny goat weed, vitamin D3, DHEA,
Right.
pregnenolone, ashwagandha. And I ordered all these things, but I said, but it's not like I can take them anytime soon because I still got this time ahead of me on this cleanse. And like I said, most people do it for 10 days. I did for 22 days.
Wow.
Then I took, then I reached 199.8. So that means I finally broke down below 200, which means I've lost 34 pounds this year. I don't know how much on the cleanse. I'd say at least 20 of it probably, but I don't know for sure. But I weighed, and then I was like, well, screw it. I'm celebrating. We don't celebrate in life enough. Is just a reminder, if you actually accomplish something, fucking celebrate, dude, whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be like a huge celebration, but I went and I had like a solid food day. I went, which is stupid, by the way, which is why you said, oh, I think it's smart what you guys are doing. There are ways to lose weight. I don't necessarily recommend anyone try anything that I do. I just seem to be indestructible. I've played bull poker. I've gone skydiving on a motorcycle. Like, I do things.
Yeah,
I just kind of go by my gut, and everything works out. I got some, like, my guardian angels are, like, in insane shape. It's amazing. But so you're supposed to take 3 days of when you're going to finish with this cleanse. You're supposed to take 3 days of eating just juice and soup to let your body acclimate before you go back to solid food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I broke past 200. I went to the local market on Mondays. They have the Monday market, and there are like these amazing tacos. They're tacos dorados. It's a golden tacos. They're fried tacos. They take tacos, no lettuce or any like that crappy vegetables and stuff. Just meat, onions, chili. Oh my God. I tell you, this lemonade diet has really got me craving spicy stuff because I have cayenne in my lemonade every day. Yeah. Like, so I had 3 of those tacos, and then I finished eating them, and I was like, oh, so good, solid food. I haven't, it's pretty easy to do this lemonade diet. Like, I haven't, like.
It was tough for me. It was really hard for me. I felt my energy going up, and I just couldn't sleep well. I was really, it was hard.
I had zero problems with it. In fact, I go running like 10 miles down the beach or whatever. And that's before I eat. I was already kind of intermittent fasting before this, so I'm doing this with intermittent fasting. So I don't usually like have my first lemonade until like, I don't know, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
And you know, there's been days I just have plenty of energy, and yeah, I didn't need to run 10 miles a day. I don't even consider myself a runner, but I'm like, let's see. I'm already at a caloric deficit. Why don't I go burn some calories to make sure I really get the results? And then, like, it's amazing because you do that, you wake up the next morning and you're like, holy shit, I'm thinner than I was yesterday. Like, I can see it from yesterday. Wow. They'll say you lose like a pound or 2 per day on this diet. And a lot of it is water weight. A lot of it is going to come back. Mm-hmm. I know not all of mine is going to come back because I was already eating healthier. I was just, you know.
I think lifestyle is a big choice. You know, like you're out of America now. You're down on the beach. You're away from your chicken place. You know, like it's just going to be a natural progression from here, which is great.
And when I go to San Diego, because there's no postal service here. I asked my landlord, I'm like, hey, what's the address here? I need to Amazon some stuff. And his reaction was laughing. And I was like, oh, that's not the reaction I was expecting. He's like, yeah, so my neighbors let me use their P.O. box in San Diego. And I just take little trips. It's only like an hour away.
That's awesome. No. Well, out of curiosity, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, you know, and I've had like zero temptation to stop by a Carl's Jr. or McDonald's or anything like
that. That's the thing. When you're living healthier, you don't really have those cravings. You know, you actually crave. You know, you're like, oh, I want to go to the gym. I want to eat healthy. I want to have a salad because that's what you become accustomed to. I just wanted to transition. Living in Mexico, I'm just curious, what is the rent like there? Because you said you're an hour from San Diego.
Yes, dude. I definitely don't pretend to be like a multimillionaire or anything like that, and I've not been posting like as many pictures of here as I could be, because I don't want to seem like I'm bragging. But I have a 5-bedroom on the beach for $735 a month, including utilities.
And it's an hour from San Diego.
It's less than an hour from San Diego. It's about an hour and a half, depending, crossing back. It takes longer to cross through the border into America. But, like 45 minutes south of the border. It's all, like, just cliffside driving. It's just beautiful.
Amazing.
Food here is cheaper. Like, I for $100 here, I fill my freezer up with meat. That's like enough food for the month.
Wow.
Where in Austin, that would last me a week or less. And
that's exactly what I'm looking at doing with my next move. Like, I was looking at places in Bali, man. I can get a place in Bali, like a 3-bedroom villa with my own private pool for like about $800-900 a month. Like,
dude,
it's insane.
I didn't even like spend the time looking. I knew I needed a new apartment. I reached out to my buddy Rob. I'm like, hey, didn't you see your dad lives like in Mexico on the beach somewhere? He said, yeah, and he connected me with his dad. I said, yeah, you got any advice for that area? I mean, if it's good enough for you, then whatever, I'll try there. Yeah. And I was thinking about moving to Mexico last year, but not the beach area, just because I was visiting a friend there, and I was like, everyone was so friendly. I had a great time, and I was going to move to Hermosillo, which is inland. But I was like, you know what, fuck it. If I'm going to go, I might as well like go by the beach or something. And so I reached out to his dad. His dad just said, yeah, here's what I can tell you. He didn't tell me much stuff. And then he said, but let me connect you with my landlord. And he connected me with the landlord. And the landlord is the guy that was living in the apartment I'm in right now. And they said, hey, we got another property that we need to go and maintain. So we can move out of here and you can just take over the place. Oh, I forgot to mention that $735 a month, including utilities, is like pre-furnished. And so like my parents came and visited, and they were expecting, like dirt and gravel roads and like dirt huts and whatnot. And they're just blown away that the road is nicer than the roads that they have up in suburbia California where they live, and
it's crazy.
Yeah, there's like all these mansions and houses here. Like, yeah, my neighborhood inside it, the road is all gravelly, but who gives a shit? Dude, I barely even use my car here. Like, I don't even put on my shoes if I want to go to the beach. It's literally 4 minutes walking from here to the water. I moved my desk here now, where it's sitting right now in this room, because my main living room, dining room area actually gets cold at night now that it's getting colder, and this room is smaller, and the living room has a walkway underneath it, so the breeze goes by. And this room's got a fireplace, but now, like where I'm sitting, giant fireball in the sky, sunset every night, like right in front of me. I went to San Diego just yesterday and Wednesday. I went for 2 days, and just to see some old friends, to get some packages, to surprise someone, and great trip. But I couldn't wait to be back. I took a vacation to Arizona with my ex, and we had like an amazing time up in the mountains, cabin in the mountains, quiet, privacy, hiking, nature, and all that. Yeah. But it's like the weather here is just so perfect.
Yeah.
It's just,
how much do you think that same place would cost in San Diego?
$2,300 a month. I don't know. Yeah. And it wouldn't be like a private beach per se. Now, here's the thing, I'm in a bunch of local Facebook groups as well. Rosarito, La Misión, Ensenada, and all that stuff. And you see postings all the time. You can find a place that's ocean view for like $250, $350 a month, like for like a 1-bedroom or something.
1-bedroom. That's all I would need. Like that's it.
Yeah, you know, this is. I was. Joe told me, you know, it's like, yeah, it's $700, you know, a month. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Okay, you know, and it was supposed to be a 3-bedroom. It's actually segmented into 2 apartments, but since there's an issue with one of the doors' ability to lock, they just kind of like gave me the whole place. So I have 5 bedrooms. And I figured this way, you know, people can come visit. What's the point of being on the beach if you can't have, you know, give people a vacation?
Do you ever rent those out for like Airbnb or couch surfing and stuff? No?
Not mine to rent. Like my downstairs neighbors, the missionaries I was mentioning, they're like the sweetest people. And when I first got here, Rachel's grandma was staying here, but she had a stroke and they were looking after her for a couple months. And, you know, I thought Granny Joe was awesome. You know, so we were hanging out. They taught me about the gin and tonic. And, but yeah, when she left, like, I've had the place. Then they had some fellow missionaries that were going to be visiting here and doing some local work. And they're like, so the landlord emailed me and checked if it's okay with me if they, you know, rent that side of the house. So my second kitchen, second bathroom, and the other 2 bedrooms. I'm like, yeah, I don't even notice. I never go through there. You know, like it's the west wing of the house. You know? It's ridiculous. So I got more space than I need, but I'm paying less than I would for a 1-bedroom in Austin. So
that's crazy. That's what I look at, man. I look at lifestyle design and like, you know, like what you could get. I was back in Vancouver this summer. You can't rent a bachelor or a 1-bedroom downtown Vancouver unfurnished for under $2,000 a month.
That's crazy. But here's the thing, like, you know, one of the things that's taught me. So you said, how did I get here? So it was on a whim, right? Like it was June. I knew I needed to get another apartment. Same little voice that said, hey, give your shit away and go on a road trip to figure out where you want. I said, hey, you know, you're an artist. Why not go to, you know, someplace with some nature, maybe by the ocean, you know, for inspiration or something. I'm like, oh, let me go to Mexico on the beach, you know. Yeah. I mean, I reached out to Rob's dad. He connected me with a landlord, $700 on the beach. I was like, fuck it. There's nothing to think about. Let's go. Within 2 weeks, I told him, hey, you know that thing I said, like, I'll stay here till November. I'm like, how about if we just change it to, I'll let you know if and when I ever want to leave. He said, yeah, sure. Sounds cool. And like, I love my neighbors. I love where I'm living. One thing it really showed me, one of the things that brings me the happiness that I feel on a regular basis here is that I do live in a small area. Like, I don't, like, Austin is really crowded. San Diego is really crowded. I don't deal with, like, traffic, and I don't deal with, like, even just, you don't realize, a fish doesn't know it's out of water until it's out of water. Or I guess it doesn't know it's in water until it's out of water. You don't realize, like, how much, I mean, I'm sure I'm not even thinking about, like, the energy, you know, radioactivity like, from all the electricity we use and all that stuff, but just like sheer amount of concrete around you and all that stuff. And then you cross the border, you get through Tijuana, which takes like a couple minutes, and then you're on this freeway and it's just all open. It's just, you know, there's a couple houses on the hills and stuff, like small town, smaller. You're not just feeling so crowded and congested. It's like I always have, as soon as I drive back into Mexico, I'm always like,
right.
I can relax. There's not video cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
how's the safety?
I've never had an issue.
Think, oh, Mexico, cartel, drug lord, you know, like, yeah.
You know, I'm technically in an area called Baja California.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This used to be part of California, and then I haven't Googled the exact reasons why, but whatever. went back to Mexico. And so, you know, I'm sure I took a 15-hour road trip the other week, like 15 hours each way, like into Sonora, Mexico. It was a toll road. I had my car searched by the military like 6 or 7 times, and I had to pay a bunch of tolls. And like, there was never a moment where it even crossed my mind that someone's going to try to, you know, rob me and all that stuff. You know, look, I would say that. Oh, first, can you hear me? It looks like video froze.
No, I'm good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, there's areas that you can, I'm sure, find
just like
that
anywhere.
are
Just like anywhere, though. Just like you go to San Diego, you don't want to go to certain areas. Like it's like
look, here's I'm a lifelong traveler, right? Like, I mean, I started traveling when I was 9 years old, and I came to the United States. And once I learned enough English to understand what people are saying to me, so, you know, by like 5th, 6th grade, I could understand. I'd be like, "Oh, you're from Israel? What's that like? Are there bombs always going off? Or they're like," I'm like, "What? What are you talking?" Like, you know, but if you watch the news, that's what you believe, is that from morning to night, you know, there's shootings and riots, whatever. But that's not the case, and I know that from experience. It's just like, I don't watch movie reviews. If a movie looks cool, I'm going to go check it out. You know?
I'm exactly the same way. Yeah. And same with me in Korea here. People are like, "You live in Korea? Like, isn't that like the most dangerous country in the world?" I'm like, "Well, one of them, but I'm totally safe here." Like, people that live here don't think anything about what's going on politically. Like, it's not a thing really in your day to day. So, you know, one thing that you mentioned, you're a lifelong traveler. You said that you're 42 years old. Do you think that you'll continue kind of moving around? Do you like this couch surfing kind of like, you know, nomadic lifestyle, or do you feel like you'll eventually want to settle, you know, as they say, settle down and do this?
I'm going to show you something.
Kids.
I got into a new habit lately. One that's brand new, where it's like, holy shit, who am I? This does not sound like an Ori thing, but I've got house plants.
Oh, nice.
This is an elephant ear plant, so it's ginormous.
Yeah.
And I got 2 of them at the local nursery, because a productivity course that I was consuming was talking about, like, how can you optimize your space, right? Like constant improvement. So, for example, if you have junk food but you're trying to lose weight, get rid of the junk food, and then you're not going to have the issue. Right. If you have little weights and you need to use them, put them somewhere you're practically going to trip over them. You're going to see them all the time. You're going to use them more often, right? He said, get more plants. It'll get you more oxygen and get you, you know, more productive. So I don't know, I went to the store. I had no clue. I'm like, hey, what's easy to not kill? And, you know, the guy's like this. These are a little tougher to care for than others. And I thought all the plants I'd gotten were going to die very quickly. But, you know, you watch as they either dry up or wilt or whatever. You can overwater them. And I figured it out very quickly. It's really exciting because I bought so these were like $20 each for the elephant ear plants, and then I had to buy pots for them and soil, and, you know, like, because they're huge, I need like a lot of soil in the big pots. But I was like, I want more of them because I got so much empty space in my apartment. I went on Amazon. What was it? Something I said?
No, I'm going to show you. This is. I've had this one for 7 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's good for 7. That's the snake tongue, like mother-in-law's tongue? Sansevieria, I think.
I have no idea. I just got it from, I bought it from a buddy who is moving. So I've had this one for 7 years, and all along my window, I'm on an iMac, so I can't really turn it, but all along my window, I've got a bunch of plants right by my window here. So I'm in the same with you, man. I love it. It's so good.
I got a bunch of little ones, but the elephant ear ones, I like them so much. I went on Amazon and I looked up elephant ear plants, and so I ordered for the the cost of one of my elephant ear plants, I got like 10 or 15 bulbs, and so I now have like little baby elephant ear plants, and I'm watching as like the little things like sprout out of it, and then it's got like a little baby leaf, and you're like, yes, and like I actually take them outside so they get more sunshine, and then when it's gonna get colder in the evening, I bring them in.
Yeah.
You know, this one named Robert. It's Robert Plant.
So you're literally putting roots down there.
Yeah, that was the point. I never
down.
had house plants because I'm always like, well, I'm just gonna be gone. Like, what's the point? But here, I keep wanting to come back to here, even if it's short trips, and I feel gratitude every single day, just about every day. I mean, some days you don't think about it, but like I'll be running there. A friend asked me like, "Oh, how's Mexico?" And I said, I feel like I somehow stumbled into like a wormhole, and I time traveled 10 years forward. Like, I figured someday I would have a place on the beach or something like that. And like, I don't know how I ended up here. Even the locals, like, my neighbors pay a similar amount to what I pay, but they don't have nearly as much space. Like, I just lucked out, and it's not like I even looked around. I was just like, yeah, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And that was that,
I can relate, man. I can relate. One of the biggest concerns I had leaving Vancouver. So I left Vancouver in about 2010, and I had a place right on the beach in English Bay. It was beautiful, all ocean view on the beach, but it was pretty expensive, man. And but I loved it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to trust the process. I'm going to go to Asia and see what happens. And now I've got actually a better view. It's smaller because everything here is smaller. But it's like a third of the price I was paying there. And things have just worked out perfectly. So I think that's motivating for people that are kind of like, wondering if they should take that step or that trip. Just do it, right? And things just kind of...
I would definitely... Here's what I noticed. Yes, definitely do it, because in the marketing world, there's a lot of guys that just bounce around from country to country. Like, everyone goes to Thailand and Bali, and like it's always looked so amazing, and I love Thai food. Like, I always wanted to go, and it was always kind of like, I don't know, there's always you always find an excuse. Well, what do I do with my stuff, blah blah blah. And the thing, so I've always had some kind of like fears. Last year I've traveled to a bunch of places, but I never like just moved to a place. And last year I went and visited Mexico for a little bit, and I was like, fuck, I should move here. It's so cheap. For $600 a month, I could have like an 1,800 square foot place here and that was in Hermosillo. And then I was, but I was, obviously I like the ocean better. This year I went, again, it was just for a visit, but I'm just staying here. And, the thing that's not killing me, I'm not big on regrets, but I'm like, holy shit, why didn't I do this sooner? And I know why, because, and I'm sure it's like a survival thing or whatever, but we have stuff, and it's hard to give up our stuff, even if it's stuff that we don't give a shit about, furniture and otherwise. When I was couch surfing, all my stuff was in my car. And so I would travel no problem. I just get in my car and go. And when I stopped couch surfing, I started acquiring furniture and all that stuff. And it took me another like 2.5 years before, I got on the move again. And I brought my stuff with me. And then I stayed in the place for a year, and, then kind of at that point, everything went into storage, and then it became easier to bounce from city to city again.
Yeah.
But it's because of our stuff. It's hard to, like
down. Yeah, exactly. Attachments and just
great movie, Fight Club. Kind of talks about
the things that you own end up owning you. Yeah.
There's that, and there's a book that I think is a great introduction. I was already on the road when it came out, and someone suggested it's called The 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Yeah. And it's not fully accurate because Tim Ferriss works like 60 hours a week, and so but it gives you it introduces a lot of the concepts about living abroad and all the things that you can do that, you think it's going to be so expensive to travel, but, with what you're paying for an apartment and an insurance and all that stuff and utilities in America for, he talks about how he went to Argentina and had like this baller place and baller. He took ballroom lessons by literally a world class competitor, and he won. He's the first American to win the world record for tango, and he's just got all these crazy stories. It's so. And I remember listening to it, and I remember thinking like, oh wow, I'd like to do that, but I didn't. And now that I did, it's like, wow, why did I wait this long? It was so easy. And
exactly.
The bottom line though is, you said, oh, for you guys listening, you talk about the price. Okay, so yes, you can find places that are cheaper, but if it's not about like, I feel happy, I feel gratitude being here, and I think because of that, I think things keep getting better and better for me, because if you study manifestation and stuff, right, The Secret, etc., they'll tell you get what you focus on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And people focus about like what they don't have. Oh crap! I don't have the money for the rent. I don't have the money for the rent. I don't have the money for the rent. Here I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be living here. Oh my God, I'm so lucky to be living here. And so all this crazy good stuff is going on now. I just found out like yesterday morning, I'm donating some art to Alice Cooper's foundation to
wow.
Off to last year I got to go to Alice Cooper's Christmas pudding, which is this holiday concert that he puts on. So I got to see Slash and Rob from Judas Priest and Edgar Winters, the guy that sang Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo and invented the guitar, and all sorts of other people. It was really cool. And the cool thing is, the whole thing was a bunch of the paintings that were auctioned off went for like 20 grand, 15 grand. And
really?
It all goes to Alice Cooper's foundation, which gives kids places to go after school. It gives them a place to be part of a community, and they get to learn music and dance and like all the different arts. You think like, oh wow, imagine what happened if I had a place like that. Maybe I would have done something besides just play video games and become a fat couch potato. And I'd have some people skills. I got people skills. I got that by staying with over 300 different individuals over couch.
300.
Yeah, I did for 6 years, man. I mean,
that's crazy.
And so, yeah, I got my own different way, but I just thought it was really cool. So I just followed up with them, like, hey, so.
I wanted to ask before I want to focus more on your art in the next little section here, but before we go into that, is couch surfing kind of like a hookup deal? I've heard kind of it's like it's
gotten the couch surfing got a hookup rap. I've seen it over the last couple years. Like there's been a couple articles about it, and I suppose you probably could hook it up, because you're already in the place with the other people, and you can choose who you're staying with, and I didn't use it as a hookup thing. I guess like anything else, it is what you make of it.
Yeah.
Right? Is going to a bar a hookup thing? I don't know. I mean, if you're an alcoholic, maybe not. And if you just have like some sorrows you need to drink away, or actually, sorry, if you live in Korea, it's just a thing you do every night. You black out and think, because I've heard your talks about that.
That's how it is.
But, a lot of people go to bars to have business meetings, right?
Yeah. No, the reason I ask is I haven't really done it much. I wish I did it a lot more. It would have saved me a fortune. But yeah, like I've just heard some, I don't know, just like you said, coming up more lately that it is kind of used for kind of like a Tinder, Airbnb kind of almost, you know.
That's a good combination. I mean, if you get
yeah.
to stay for free and you don't just get breakfast, you get breakfast in bed.
And dessert. No,
there you go.
That was just a question I had from like someone who stayed in 300
If you're looking to hook up with people, I'm sure that let's say it this way, if you're looking to hook up with people and you have no personality and you got no game, then couch surfing ain't gonna help you much either.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah.
I had a project I was doing back when I was doing 3D animation in 98, 99, and these guys were creating an interactive display that was gonna travel around with NASCAR and stuff, and it was revolved around music and stuff. But their other company had to do with porn, and so they're saying something about a porn convention. I remember the guy I was working with got all excited. He's like, "What porn?" And he's like, "Yeah, don't get your hopes up." He's like, You think being in a room filled with porn stars, you got some hope, right? But he said you'd have a better chance getting laid at a nun convention, right? Because if you're not in the industry, these people aren't going to talk to you or nothing. And so, yeah, it's, look, if you want to succeed in business, if you want to get laid when you're couch surfing, or if you're going out and talking to people, or you want to do anything in life, I recommend you read, Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, and there's a great book by Keith Ferrazzi, one of the people I couch surfed with, New York Times bestselling author, and it's called Never Eat Alone. It's a fantastic book.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of that.
And the bottom line is, if you want to succeed in life, then have some people skills. And guess what? You can learn them. Some people are born with them, but anything is learnable. It's definitely a learnable skill.
Yeah.
I was, I'm definitely not the same me that I was years ago. We evolve if we choose to, and
I think personal development has been a passion of mine since I could learn how to read. I've always been interested in, my first book was in junior high, Celestine Prophecy, James Redfield. But yeah, talking about porn real quick, the next guy I'm interviewing, he's one of my best friends here, and he's a Japanese porn animator. So he creates the storyboards for all these Japanese porn productions. He's a really interesting guy.
When that video comes out, I'd love to hear about that. It's like, dude, those Japanese cartoons are fucking out there.
They are.
That's
what he does. Yeah.
There's shit with tentacles and aliens and demons and
this guy creates storyboards for all of them. Yeah. It's really interesting. It's going to be an interesting talk. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. He lives a couple blocks away from me here. We go to dinner all the time. Yeah, it's great.
Dude, it's awesome. I've liked some of the Japan culture stuff. I haven't gotten all that much into all of it, but I definitely want to go check out Japan and the fashion district and stuff.
It's awesome.
My buddy just went. He is one who definitely does a lot of global travel, and he just posted there's this restaurant. I think it's called the Robot Bar or something.
Yeah.
And the shows that were going on there. Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
We got nothing like that here. It's
come take a trip, and it'll definitely inspire your art, which I kind of want to focus on. So
let's go there.
With your art, you mentioned in your book intro. So you started when you were young. You were obviously had a talent and a passion for it, and then it's something that in the last, I guess, maybe 7 years, it kind of got reintroduced to your life, and you really started to become, super connected and dedicated to it.
I'm a creative type. It doesn't matter what I do. I gotta do it creatively. That's kind of I got a fantastic video of me presenting on stage at War Room, which is digital marketers $30,000, $100,000 a year mastermind. And I was just delivering a painting to Ryan Dice, and I wrote a little speech around it. Roland asked me if I wanted to present it from on stage. I'm like, sure, buddy. And so I do my little presentation. I keep it short because I knew they're on a really tight schedule. And as I'm like, all right, well, thanks, guys. That's all the time I'm going to take. I know you got a tight schedule. And I walk off the stage, and, people clap. And these are all, like, multi-millionaires, billionaires. Like, the dude who invented the e-cigarette was there, and, like, all sorts of stuff. And they're clapping. And, Ryan is like, guys, dude, like, wait, before he goes, like, wait, how many days you been doing this in a row now? And I'm like, 2,000, whatever. And he's like, dude, like, it's like, I don't even brush my teeth that many days in a row, And then Perry says, hey, guys, by the way, also, is like, if your business, like, is stagnating, you need some new ideas, to, like, invite Ori to come crash to your place for a couple of weeks. Says he's going to come up with so many ideas, and a lot of these ideas are going to be complete shit, but it's like those few ideas in between there is no way you will ever have thought of them, and it will revolutionize your business. So I'm creative in everything I do. I've definitely – so that's – and a lot of times it's visually creative as well. I mean, like, I've always enjoyed doing the visual stuff. Like, I grew up, like I said, I learned English watching cartoons, and I thought I was going to grow up and make cartoons. I got into 3D animation. I used to run a print shop. I'm a photographer, videographer, compositor. Like, we used to teach 3D animation. I used to run a print shop and operate a photography studio. And, it's always been visual stuff. Now, I've always also been close with technology. My dad got me started with computers at a young age, and because I've got crappy handwriting, I always figured, I'd be using computers to do my animation, even before that was like a thing. And so that was just kind of like I just kind of sort of knew it, and so there was this weird, like, tie between me and, like, 3D animation. I was chasing 3D animation before I knew it was a thing. And so back when I had a 386 computer, my dad would give me the, like, $20 or $40 or whatever it was to get a math coprocessor. When I had a 486, when I went away to college, I actually spent like $2,000 to get the first commercially available CD-ROM and 16 megs of RAM. So my computer had 32 megs of RAM, which now people's car keys probably have more than that. And but that was so I could do more graphics. I put that $2,000 of parts on my parents' credit card, and obviously then they found out and lost their shit, and I had like 6 months to pay them back, and I did. But I was always like kind of chasing this, and when I went to the University of Florida for a year and a half, and then I dropped out because I found out like I was just taking prerequisites, and they weren't actually teaching me computer animation. And when I found out what their version of computer animation is, I was like, fuck this. We called my older brother. I'm like, dude, I'm light years ahead of what you're doing. I'm dropping out. Yeah. What should I tell mom and dad? It's like, I'm dropping out. I'm like, all right. So I dropped that. And funny enough, I gotta say, that's when my life changed. Like, I'm, going to various personal development conferences and all that stuff. And, so I've gone through a lot of exercise. You figure out, like, what are the key points in your life? Like, when did your life take a turn? For me, it's when I dropped out of the University of Florida because, my parents were paying for that. I went because I'm supposed to go and all that stuff. I left, and then they're like, well, where are you going to go? I'm like, I don't know. I want to go to the Art Institute because they actually have, like, 3D animation. And they're like, well, we're not paying for it. You already dropped out of this. How do we know we're not going to, like, sign up for more debt? You're just going to drop out of that. And is that, like, well, consider it if you get, like, great grades or something. So I signed up, and now I went because I wanted to go, not because you were supposed to go. I went, and I had to pay for it. I went, it was my choice, my responsibility. And so a lot of things changed in my life starting at that point. But anyways, so before the Art Institute, though, it was always like my path, like was computer graphics is what I was chasing. And in '96, I was working at CompUSA, even though I hated it there. I was working there so I could get wholesale cost on computer parts, so I could build my own like super badass computer that could support 3D and that kind of stuff. And I bought my first stylus in '96. It kind of sucked compared to what's out there now, obviously. But then I'd say everything from '96 kind of sucks compared to what we have out there now.
No doubt, yeah.
Cell phones were just coming out. Anyways, so that's when I started like doing digital art. And in 2000, I was dating this girl, and she was kind of a dingbat. I mean, we were still friends, but she was kind of a dingbat. But she got really excited about my art, and that's kind of what I said in the intro.
Right.
I was like, well, I don't know, whatever. She's dating me. How good can her judgment be? And what does she know? But she introduced me to her mom, who actually worked with galleries. The mom said, your stuff is amazing, or else showed me this stuff, and yeah, you have to do an art show. I'm like, all right. And I didn't know how to research things like I do now. So, the internet kind of sucked back then anyway. So I just put the word out. Someone's like, oh, hey, there's this thing. It wasn't even like a real art show. It was one of those art walk things. But I got approved, So I went all out. Because I didn't know. I was just going by what I think an art show should be. And so I borrowed my buddy's trade show booth for SIGGRAPH, which is like a huge trade show in Vegas. And my buddy had this amazing, it was made out of metal. It was like not polished, hand ground. So it's got these really cool textures in it, and it's got lighting fixtures. And so like as you move it's just very interesting looking booth. Also weighs a shitload. I actually had to get like a U-Haul just to transport this thing. I went and had my art printed large, and I laminated it, mounted.
Nice.
And I set up, and I get there, and it's me with this thing, and a couple other people have like small folding card tables and stuff. I'm like, what? Like I went above and beyond, like leaps and bounds past what anyone else was setting up at that thing. It wasn't an art show. Like, so this is thing, it's just a thing for people aren't going to like First Friday to go buy art. They're looking for something to do. Like, oh, what do we do? I don't know. It's First Friday. Let's go look around, right? Yeah. I didn't sell anything. So I'm like, well, I guess I must not be an artist. And let me tell you, that was one of my biggest mistakes. Obviously, everything worked out fine in the end, and I'm kind of glad, blah, 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 in hindsight, and I'm an optimist. But 10 whole years of not doing like my thing because I tried something once, and that's what we do. The same thing happened to me with weightlifting and stuff. Like growing up, my family had like a bunch of gym memberships and stuff. Just a local gym, like back when actually like gyms were different and all that stuff, like the neighborhood gym, that kind of thing, nothing crazy. And I remember like going when I was 12 or 13, when I was kind of pudgy, and I'd go and I'd try to like use the rowing machine or the little chest machine or whatever. I'd be like, it sucked. It hurts. It's boring. You just gotta sit there.
Yeah.
It never stuck.
Yeah.
Until 1998, a client sent me to Trinidad for 2 weeks, 3 weeks to train their people on 3D animation. And those people fed me so fucking much that in 3 weeks, when I came back, I couldn't fit into my jeans. I'm not saying I was skinny, but the jeans that I had fit me.
Yeah.
Right? In 3 weeks, all of a sudden, I had to do like the whole. You gotta suck your breath in and jump up and down so you can finally close it. And I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. Now I had a good reason why. I went to the gym. I started making friends at the gym because now I actually was there and spending the time there. I wanted to be there. I made friends with like people that are weightlifting, and all of a sudden that became my culture. All of a sudden, like I got my bench press from where when I started. Another reason why, you know, I didn't get very far into weightlifting is like, it's embarrassing because there's dudes there like lifting real weight, and you go and you can't even lift it hard. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good metaphor for people to that, you know, it takes time to get perfect at anything. And like, well, look at you. You've been, you know, creating art for like, you know, almost 3,000 days in a row. You know, like it takes more than just one day to master or get sufficient or comfortable with something.
Well, that's one of the
work once. It's, you know.
But by the time I was done with the gym, like I mean, my max press was I could bench press 350 pounds.
Really? Wow.
Which is a lot, and I only did it once. It felt like my wrists were gonna snap. My buddy Brian had like a torso like the size of an oak barrel. He could like lift that like it was nothing. But I, you know, struggled. But I got to lift 350, and I could leg press over 1,200 pounds. But it was also like all consuming. Like my breakfast was 10 to 14 eggs. My lunch was an entire rotisserie chicken, sweet potato, and some brown rice. Dinner, a couple of steaks, and I'd be snacking on cans of tuna and granola bars between meals as well.
Wow,
and then I'd be at the gym for 2 hours. You know, again, everything evolves, but what was the point? We're talking about art. Oh, like, yeah, so there was all these false starts, right? I was always drawing. I was always doodling. I never knew that was my thing, and I never made a concerted effort. Now, I realized once I got taken to the galleries in Maui, and I just felt that heartbreak by the third or fourth gallery, I was like, holy shit, like this stuff is amazing. And I just haven't been doing it. It made me realize I haven't been going into galleries or art stores or anything because I tried something once, like at the gym, you know, and it took me a couple of tries until I gained that weight, and then my life changed. And, you know, and it's the same thing, you know, like I tried. And even when I decided I was going to do art every day, that only lasted 2 weeks. It wasn't until like the next year. When I was like actively thinking, like, what do I want and what don't I want in my life? Great question for anyone to ask themselves, by the way.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I was trying to think up of all this stuff, and I just remembered that how very vividly, like how terrible that feeling was when I realized that I blew off my passion for 10 years. And here we are 6 months after that. I'm still not really doing anything with it. And that's when I try to come up with this solution, which I'm going to very clearly spell out here because I found it to be a superpower. It's called accountability.
Right.
You know, I've lost weight and gained muscle using accountability. 6 years ago, as a matter of fact, I just posted online. I realized I've never had six-pack abs, and just a thought out of the blue in July, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going for six-pack abs. I should have them. My deadline is my birthday, December, so I had 5 months to do it, and I did it. And to stay accountable, every week I posted pictures of me in like shorts or my underwear from the front and the side, and that will definitely motivate you to make sure that next week's picture is better, or you're going to hear about it, right? That's how I posted the art thing. I was like, hey guys, I'm going to post a drawing every day. I mean, it could be a drawing, it could be a stick figure, it could be a big painting, but I'm doing it every day. And yet somewhere out there, there's some asshat who's just going to like make fun of me when I flake. I haven't flaked. I think it's accountability. And I got to tell you this too. Make sure that you have, you know, like that your goal is conducive, right? With this, 6 years ago, that six-pack abs, I hit my goal. I hit 6 months or 5 months. It was my birthday. I wake up, I look in the mirror, I'm like, holy shit, I've got abs. You can actually see like the shape around them and all that. I posted a picture from the front, from the side, from the back. Did it, hit my goal. I went across, I called a bunch of my friends. I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to celebrate tonight. Margaritas and ice cream cake at the Mexican place next to my place. We went, we had Mexican. We haven't had alcohol the whole time because that each like time you go drink, that sets you back like 3 days of gym progress. And we went, we had fun. I didn't work out that day because it's my birthday. And then the next day I was like, oh, you know, I've been exercising so hard. I hit my goal. Enjoy the weekend. You know, like I haven't had like an entire weekend to not work out. And it was great, you know, but then I couldn't get back into working out. And 2.5 years later, I'm like, fuck, I'm fat. And I started like, you know, trying to do P90X, but I couldn't like really get into it. And, you know, it took a while for me to get back into it. So with the art, I refuse to miss one day because it's very easy for one day to become 2.5 years.
Slippery slope. Absolutely. And that's what I think that was super impressive is just, we've been friends and connected online for 7 years, and I've just seen, you know, just always posting every day, art. And, you know, with the algorithm, I don't see every one, but it's just constant enough that I'm like, man, this guy's like seriously committed and dedicated to this. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because what you've done from that. And I was interested, what do you do? I wanted to ask, what do you do with all those pieces? You said that you have, you know, where do they go? What happened?
It's random. I mean, there's no set answer. I'm the kind of person that never has like an actual specific answer. You asked me about what would you do for a podcasting website. I'm like, well, it depends, right? It depends is always my
your default.
So I have a book, The Art of Ori, Volume 1. But you know, it's funny. I made this in last December, but then in February of this year. I think it was February, maybe March, but it's only this year. So in the middle of year 6 of my daily art, that I realized that I finally identify as an artist. Up until this point, I was like, oh, I'm a marketer, I'm a couch surfer, I'm a photographer, I'm all these other things, and I happen to make art every single day. Now I'm like, no, I'm an artist. I'm like, oh shit, well then this book's not good enough to put out there as my art book, because this is the book that I made before I realized I'm an artist. So this is 8.5 by 11, 183 pages. It's got a bunch, I mean, you've seen it. So, you know, it's got a ton of art, a bunch of good stuff. And it's got like the small stories, you know. So now with a bigger book, it's going to be, A, the art is going to be more impressive. B, it's going to have a nice dust jacket. C, it's not going to be like as crowded, right? So here's like a bunch of dogs and, you know, like there's just like a lot of stuff on like a lot of pages. Here's cats, right? There's like, I mean, only one on this page, which looks much better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this page. You know, it's the same thing. Like here's the women's chapter. There's all different subjects. And that's actually why I made this, so that when people say, oh, you're an artist, what kind of art do you do? If I say, well, everything. I paint, I weld, I sculpt, I carve, I do 3D, I paint women and dogs and robots and dudes and sci-fi and abstract and moods. And like, people are like, oh, okay, whatever. So, you know, they walk around with a shirt like this. Well, you know, here's some of my stuff.
Oh, really? That's the shirt of your art.
Yeah. I wear my art upon my sleeve.
On your sleeve, literally. Wow, that's awesome, man.
And I made this because I was going to a Brennan Burchard conference, and I knew that they were going to, you know, make us hug and give her a creepy massage and talk to the person on our left and the person on our right. And I knew that people were going to say, oh, you're an artist. What kind of art do you do? Like 100 times that day. Well, I just made this and wore this to a thing. And it was weird because I didn't even get to go to I didn't even get to use it just for the people. People were stopping me in the hallway and going, dude, that is a really cool shirt. And I'm like, oh, thank you. It's all my own art. Like, I was unexpected. I've never gotten as many compliments on an item of clothing as this shirt.
Maybe you should start up a Shopify store and start selling those, man.
It's on the list of things, dude. I've got like 5 other designs that I've made, and there's a long list. So here's the thing: with art, you can do anything you want. So yes, you've got a whole bunch of curtains around the place. I can print up curtains, wallpaper, make a book out of it. You know, I can do some of it is physical stuff. You know, there's and especially with me, because I'm all over the place, right? Tony Robbins says that there's 6 human motivation: certainty, uncertainty, connection, love, growth, and contribution. And he says if anything services 3 or more of those things, it can very easily become an addiction. For me, art fills all 6. But if I had to choose one thing that's like my driver, it's uncertainty. So with this, you never know what I'm going to make. You don't know what it's going to be of. You don't know what technique I'm going to use. You don't know what materials I'm going to use. Like you never. Some days it's a sculpture. Some days I'm playing with chainsaws. Some days just drawing. Some days it's digital. So I have a storage unit in Austin. A bunch of stuff's in there. Some stuff is with me. A lot of stuff I do digitally because I travel so much, and this way. Otherwise, not every single piece is, you know, is printed, and
do you sell them?
Yeah. I mean, I've had pieces sell for like thousands of dollars. I've had pieces contribute for charity and auction off for thousands of dollars. Yeah. I had a piece sell for last December. I did a little upsell for a in-person delivery, which is delivered by the artist. I call it the artist experience. And it's funny because I drive a Kia Soul, and the painting that this woman wanted to surprise her husband with was a 70-inch by 40-inch Tom Petty painting, and that took up my entire car. I had to drive like hunched over the whole time. It was 0 right side visibility every time it was a 15-hour drive. Every time I wanted to pass someone, I had to just like floor it and hope, you know, that there's like. And it was fun, you know, and so
the reason I asked is I think that I connected you with the other episode I did about my buddy Pete, who sells his photography to, like, you know, these different publications and stuff as a travel photographer. But he was kind of saying how the journey to becoming a self-sufficient or funded artist, you know, he has to do other things, you know. So he has his course that he sells along with his prints and everything. So I'm just wondering, with what you're doing now with your art, are you subsidizing that with your marketing stuff or consulting, or what's your kind of?
There's months where like 100% is paid for by art, and there's months where I do some web design and all that stuff. But here's the thing.
Cool. That's awesome.
It's not awesome.
Okay.
You know, it's funny. I'm a marketer. Like I definitely identify with that term. I like a lot of the marketers, and I think it's an industry that sort of demands on its people personal development. And, you know, it thickens your skin. It gives you a lot of superpowers that you can use to help any cause you want. I just ran into a dude today. Other than my neighbors, and when I say neighbors, I don't mean the people across the door. I'm talking about the people who live below my apartment. So there's that's the couple and their kid, and then my buddy's dad. And other than them, like, I don't really know anyone locally. I joined some Facebook groups, so then I met this girl because she needed a bunny sitter. So and then someone in one of those groups asked if someone could design a label for them, and that girl tagged me because she found out that I could do design. Today I went to hang out with her, and that dude was there at the local thing. He's like, "Hey, you're that guy from the internet." I'm like, "Which thing are you saying that for?" Because I'm that guy from the internet for a lot of things. So the one can do the label. I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I said, "But," I'm like, I'm like, it's not really a service I offer per se. I'm like, but I volunteered to do it because, you know, it gives me a reason to connect with another local. And I'm like, tell me about your business. Turns out that, yeah, he's got a trace minerals product. Like, you know, you put the drops in your drink. If you get bottled water, which everyone here gets filtered water, you know, it's often stripped out of the minerals that, you know, water has in nature. And so you're not really getting hydrated. I'm like, okay, I buy trace minerals. What's special about yours? He's like, well, they come from Hawaii. And he told me about how he actually is here because his house got incinerated in the recent lava flow issues. And, you know, he was telling me that his, I'm like, all right, so what's special about your trace minerals? He said, well, I was living there by the beach in near Kona, and then there was this lab that they built to generate electricity that pumps the water out from like half a mile deep under the ocean. And because it's so much colder than the surface temperature, they figured it was going to cause a swirl and, you know, spin these turbines and generate electricity. He said, but 10 years later, they realized that it takes more electricity to spin the turbines than it's generating. But it was a good try, so they shut it down. And so what he's done is, what they realized, though, is that soil, that water that was being pumped up, it actually starts off in, I think he said Greenland or Norway, and it's over 2,000 years it's taken it to travel underground to reach over in Hawaii. And because of that, it's been filtered through the ground, whatever, and it's super nutrient rich and blah, blah, blah. And so he pumps it from there into these tunnels where he's got these filters, and it dries out. He lets it dry for 100 days in the Hawaiian sun, and then that's the product you get. I'm like, do you even have a website? He's like, well, no, not really. I'm like, dude, you need wait. I'm like, you've got a product with a story. I'm like, I hear that. I think this is the kind of thing that they build an MLM around. I'm like, I don't really offer my marketing. I'm like, but this sounds like a fun one too. So I'm going to take his product that he, you know, sells a little bit here and there. I said, can you keep up with a lot of demand, like a huge demand? And he said, yeah. I'm like, okay, so now we're going to do, so it's really cool because you can help anyone that you want to if you learn this marketing stuff. And I do it all, you know, I do the websites, I do e-commerce sites, affiliate program, the copywriting, video editing, and, you know, and so you get to be picky about, you can choose who you want to work with and who you don't. So I highly recommend marketing. Anyone should learn it regardless of what you do. Like I said, a lot of people's skills go into it. But despite being a marketer, I chose the hardest thing to market, art. You know, it's like, damn it. But the heart wants what the heart wants, right? And
well, you know, congratulations. I want to kind of acknowledge you for following your heart and picking up what you started when you were, you know, a child and following through with that. It's better, you know, late than never. And you're super talented, man. I've looked through your book. I've been seeing your, you know, creations for the last 7 years. And I really am glad that we had the chance to, you know, we started this call saying, you know, who talks on the phone? We've been talking for almost 2 hours, man. When's the last time you had a 2-hour call? You know, like this is by far the longest episode I've ever done. And like, by far. And I could keep
records.
This will be your second Guinness Book of World Record. And the only reason I'm saying to wrap it, I've been drinking all this tea, and I got to go. So that's the only reason I'm saying that we might want to try and put a bow on this before I.
That's fine. We can have episode 2.
No, absolutely. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to recommend people 2 reasons to get his book. 1, Christmas is coming up. 2, it's his birthday coming up in December. So go ahead. Go ahead, treat yourself to his book, and I know he's got another one coming out too.
Well, so this one's not available because I was going to make this one available, the other one, but so here's what I got to say. 1, forgot big takeaways. Like, if you figure out what your thing is, like I figured out for me, it's art.
Yeah.
Like, defend it to the death. To this day, despite the fact that my parents get like nonstop compliments on the paintings of mine that are in their living room,
Nice.
and that have used as their profile picture, my dad still to this day is like, well, why are you doing art every day? Why don't you do it like once a week or something, right? Like the most dreams are crushed by well-meaning friends and families. So, you know, I'm actually working on plans for an art course that a big part of it is that it provides a secret community where you can share your art with other people so that no one has to get shamed by, like, you know, you tell your friends, like, oh, I'm getting into art, and they're like, dude, you can't even draw a stick figure. And you're like, oh, you know, yeah, you're right. That's kind of stupid. Well, you know, you need thick skin. It took me a while before, you know, like, to post every day. I got thick skin. So if you find what your thing is, defend it to the death and just follow it. You know, you're just like one day away, one lesson you learned before like succeeding at your thing. And the happiness is I made more money, you know, doing the things that I didn't love per se, but I was a lot more miserable. And now I'm just like, I'm extremely happy, like most of the time. And don't be limited to where you live either, as Quinton can tell you, because you're now in Korea. I'm now in Mexico. A lot of the people on your show have traveled to be there. You know, it's cool. You know, just, yeah, whatever. Anyways, but if you find something to defend to death, you're only going to get world class if you do something all the time, you know. But so make sure it's something that's worthy of your time.
You know, that's a big reason why I want to move to Bali is so for me, surfing is my passion. Like, there's nothing I would rather do than just go out in the water and just be out there. And, you know, we get waves here, but it's not consistent. You know, like I go surfing, you know, maybe a few times a month when we have a storm or something. But with Bali, I have perfect waves every day. And I was like, well, why am I not living there? Or even, you know, talking with you, and I'm considering, like, I've been to Mexico about 4 times for surf trips, and I loved it there. And hearing about your experience, I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot to actually, like, I could potentially, like, live in Mexico, you know? It's like, I want to live in California, but A, I don't have a green card. I'm not American. B, I can't afford, like, $3,000 a month rent, and nor would I want to pay that much. And
yeah.
Mexico, it's, like, really close. You're living in the old California, like Baja, California. So yeah, that kind of like triggers something for me. Maybe I'll be, you know, down in your neighborhood one day and we'll be roommates, or, you know,
I got extra rooms, dude. If you want to check it out for a while, like, you know, come on down. Just, I'd say, like, fly into San Diego, drive down. It's pretty easy. And yeah, I mean, it's on the beach.
Yeah, that's all I need. Beach
a bunch of great taco places.
Tacos, waves, and yeah, don't need much more than that. I'm gonna show you this picture real quick. This friend of mine, just to kind of like share what you shared about following your passion. She is an unbelievable artist, and she created this piece. I don't want to take it down from my wall, so I'm just gonna take a picture of it.
All right.
Show ya.
Very nice.
So she painted that. And she's now working a job she hates because her dad said an artist isn't a real career, and she's just missed out on so much because she painted this the other night here for the first time she's created any art in like years and years, she said.
Oh,
like,
it's
yeah,
heartbreaking.
it is. So I hope other people, you know, pick up your passion. If you left it, if it was music, piano, whatever, go back to it.
One reason that I do my art every single day. I mean, I gave you one reason, which was that I don't want one day off to become, you know, 2.5 years later, because I might quit art altogether if I take one day off. Who knows? Yeah. But the other thing, obviously, from a marketing standpoint, I don't want to ruin my streak. I mean, it's a really nice streak. Like, one day. So I say there's no party wild enough or no girl hot enough to distract me from my art. You know,
Yeah.
If people get me absolutely shit-faced on drugs or booze or whatever, hey, I'm just making up for the sober October interview you had. You know, someone's got to take the other side of that.
That's
true. If someone gets me like wildly messed up, you know, the very first thing I want to do is like, oh, cool. Yeah, I wonder what kind of art I make if I do that stuff. Like, it's my first thing. And so, you know, there's nothing that has happened. I've kicked someone out of bed one time because I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do my art. I'm sorry, I got to do my art before. And thankfully, she had a good sense of humor about it, and you know, wanted to watch. She was curious, and actually even ended up having me do a painting for her. So that was good. But you know, like I take it. But here's the thing: you can find if someone says, "Oh, painters aren't, you know, like a real career," yeah, you know, there's a lot of starving artists. I mean, in fact, artists are the only ones that you really hear starving in front of. Musicians, I suppose, also get starving, but you know that they are artists. So
Yeah.
But there's also there's a mentor of mine who makes like $900,000 a year selling his art, and he's colorblind.
Wow.
You know, he just draws in pencil. He's a good marketer. There's a lot of artists that make a shitload of money.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was out last night. At a random dinner party. One girl she works in an art gallery, super successful here in Korea. The other woman they call her the Paris Hilton of Korea, just like super wealthy from her family. And the third guy, he runs one of the biggest TV production companies in Korea. And it was like the three of them and me. And I just got invited because somebody just saw my last episode. And like, oh, well, we want to start maybe doing some interview stuff. And it was weird. Like I got invited to all expense trip paid to Seoul last weekend because somebody saw that they needed me to go to this conference and interview people. So like, you know, you never know what doors are going to open when you just put yourself and you put your stuff out there, you know, like it's really incredible.
That's probably the hardest thing for most people to succeed is, you know, like the fear of putting yourself out there. It's funny how conditioned we are, you know, to actually care what other people think, regardless of what we might think about that. We care, and it sucks. Yeah. But, you know, here's the thing, like a big takeaway is definitely have your friend watch this. That was a pretty cool painting. You know, but if it's something that you want to do, if it's important to you, if it brings you joy, then you have to defend it to the death. You have to argue with your parents and all that stuff. And
it's your life. It's your life. You know, you can't live on someone else's terms or their. You know, you're gonna be. Like, so many people I know. So many people
sleep. Yeah. To do this, you know, like you skip sleep, and you can have that other job and do that until you make this succeed. Yeah. Anything and everything that you do in life, you're going to have to learn to market. If you have the cure for cancer and you're not a good marketer, nobody's going to know about it, and you're not really curing the world. You're not really, you know, changing the world. Yeah. If you're an artist and you know, and it's tough to market because there are so fucking many artists now, and Instagram and Pinterest. But it's like anything else in life, like musicians and everything. You just got to find your audience, who's going to like you. And that's kind of what marketing's about, you know, finding who like your stuff. And, you know, you were saying earlier, like, oh, it's cool, you know, that you got other things to fund you while you're doing your art. I'm like, no, it's not cool, because really I was just being lazy. I should be doing like 100% by my art, but you know, it's like a safety blanket. Yeah. And but now I've dropped 20-something pounds. I've blocked Netflix and YesMovies.to, and I've replaced all that with business podcasts and audiobooks. So I'm kind of back to myself. I don't feel old anymore, which is what I was saying earlier. Like before I started this cleanse, or right as I started feeling old, I've dropped like basically 30 pounds. I feel great. I have a ton of energy. Like I said, even on just a couple cups of lemonade a day, I still go running like 10 miles down the beach.
That's awesome.
I don't even drink the entire day's worth of lemonade usually.
Yeah.
And just, I feel great. I'm happy and I'm being productive again. I'm pursuing good habits for myself.
Good stuff, man.
And so I'm seeing improvements in that realm, and that's making me push forward on my art stuff a lot harder. I also have I've added a 2-minute a day exercise that I learned from a friend of mine, which is you print out what's important, like what's the one thing that you're going to do right now,
right?
Like that's important. Why is it important? Like, what are you going to have no more of? So no more having to worry about the rent, no more having to deal with clients I don't want to have to deal with.
The motivating factor.
And then what are the things that are going to be awesome about completing this, right? Like, it's the income, blah, blah, blah. And you stare at that printout like twice a day, first thing in the morning and last thing at night. And so you're thinking about it in your sleep, you wake up thinking about it.
Conscious mind programming. That's awesome.
Twice a day. And so I've been doing that. So I've just been, and like I said yesterday, I had a massive idea, which by April of this coming year, not only will, all my bills be paid for by art, but there's going to be, I figured out a way to basically be donating it to places where I can raise like $30,000, $40,000 per painting. So you get that feel good, feeling about that you're actually making a difference with what you're doing instead of just making pretty pictures. And,
we'll have to have you back on for round 2 when that launches in here.
There you go,
man. I'm looking forward to it.
All I do is updates. All right, go pee your tea.
I got it, dude. I'm gonna explode here. I'm like trying to hold it. I'm like, all this tea is going right through me, man. But, hey, man, that was super fun.
I'm doing the same thing with my coffee and lemonade too. I'm like,
That was super fun. Right. Well, cheers, man. Cheers. That was awesome. Buddy. Thanks so much, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Check out everything this guy's doing, man. As you can tell, super interesting guy, really creative, really smart, and I'm glad that we had the time to share your story.
Thanks for having me on. Everyone, theartofori.com is my website. And if you want to see Facebook albums of the progression of the 7 years, theartofori.com/year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, and year 7 will all take you to Facebook albums that contain that year's artwork.
Amazing. And I'll have all that linked up in the description here, man, for people to go and check it out. Awesome, bud. Have a great night there. And adios, amigo.
Adios. I need to learn how to say, how do you say goodbye in Korean?
Annyeong.
Annyeong?
Annyeong, yeah.
Annyeong.
Yeah. All right, man. See ya.